Local 10's airline expert, Seth Kaplan, is here to fill us in. And Seth, you know, I tried to take your advice. I booked on Christmas, but you say it's not a myth. Things are more likely to go wrong during the holiday season?
Well, it's not that they're more likely to go wrong. It's that when they do go wrong, it can be more of a problem than usual. We saw those cancellations yesterday, for example. Those happen for the same reason that flights are ever canceled, because of weather. Sometimes there's a mechanical delay. Those things can happen on a holiday or on any other day, but when they happen on a holiday, you've got all those people on the flight competing for very few seats on the next flight, and the airline has to try to take care of all of them.
Well, say that you are unlucky enough to get your flight canceled. How can you try and turn things around?
Yeah, well, Todd, you know, this first tip we've talked about before, but it's so key that it's worth repeating. Airlines these days do a pretty good job of looking for the next available seat on the same route that you're flying. So, you know, if your flight from Miami to New York JFK is canceled, they're going to look for the next seat from Miami to JFK. Now, if you don't mind driving up to Fort Lauderdale to try to get out of town, or flying instead to LaGuardia or to Newark, they're not going to assume that. Tell them how flexible you are. Now, you know, more optimistically, most of us are going to be able to get out of town. We're not going to have our flights canceled, but all of us are going to have to deal with the security checkpoint. So just a few tips for getting through that. First of all, be organized before you get to the checkpoint. You know, we all know by now we need our picture ID. We need our boarding pass. After that, we need to take out those liquids and our laptop if we have one. Know where all of those things are so the people behind you don't start shouting at you and making you nervous, and maybe you end up forgetting about something. And finally, if you're one of Santa's helpers and you're carrying gifts, Santa's reindeer don't have to play by the same rules as the rest of us, but we need to have those gifts unwrapped when we go through the security checkpoint so that you don't have to take off all that wrapping. So take the gifts and the wrapping separately.
Did you tell him I was a hot mess? I feel like he's speaking to me on all of this. You know, okay, so some of us are
TSA sees her comment.
Some of us are, they know me by name. Some of us are past the holidays already. We're already thinking of spring break or maybe even a trip in January. Now, you say that there's something new we have to consider when we book.
Yeah, and it's especially true for those of us here in South Florida because it involves our biggest airline, American. They're now offering new fare choices, is what they call them. When you visit their website, next to the lowest base fare you see over there on the left, let's say $178, you're going to see these other choices. For $68 more, you're going to get those things I circled there. You're not going to have to pay a change fee of $150 when you book, and you're not going to have to pay for your first checked bag. And for another $20 on top of that, a whole bunch of other things like bonus frequent flyer miles.
Seth, are these choices that they're offering, are they a good deal, or is it just another way to get their hand in your pocket?
Yeah, Todd, like so much else in life, and certainly when it comes to air travel, the answer to that is really, it depends. It depends on who you are, how heavy you pack, for example. If you're somebody who does pack a lot of bags, and if you're prone to changing your flights after you book them, well, in that case, it could save you a couple $100s to pay that $68. If you have one of those credit cards, let's say, that gives you a free checked bag, or you're an elite flyer, what American calls an elite flyer, you fly all the time and you don't have to pay to check a bag, it might not be as good of a deal because you get those things anyway.
All right. Sounds like some great advice,
yeah, great
as
things
always.
to think about. It. We need those reminders, especially when we're thinking about so much else right now. Seth,
definitely.
Happy holidays. Thank you for coming in today.
Happy holidays to you too. Thanks.